Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just additions to the agenda. That's easy to say.
Mr. Chair, I move that we make the following additions to the agenda to be added to department and committee reports. Discussion of recycling roll-offs and library personnel issues.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Recycle, and what was the other one?
Library personnel.
Anybody have anything else to add? I have no remarks. So we'll go to open public comments on non-agenda items. Have any? You don't have- Okay, so let's get started. Dave, come on up. That's you.
Good evening, everyone. I will be brief, but I'm certainly here to answer any of your questions. What we're here tonight for is to get approval on the LEOP, which is the Local Emergency Operation Plan. I think you saw in electronic form for your, oh, you have hard copy. Wow, that is so good. With that, I'll give you a brief what it is. Every town in the state of Vermont has to have an LEOP. The LEOP needs to be submitted to the state to emergency management, and it goes on file in Waterbury for them to use in the event that there's an emergency for contacting the town of Vernon. However, it's redundant because of the Vermont Yankee stuff, but this is still a state requirement that we do that. So, basically, what you see in front of you is the condensed version that is required by the state. And most of it is phone numbers and some of the highlights of the emergency areas. So if you want, I'll go through, Mr. Chairman, page by page, or I can highlight the changes.
If you want to highlight the changes, that'd be great.
Okay, as I mentioned, it does need to be signed by the chair. And I will take care of submitting it tomorrow to that, to the state. Other changes that you probably recognize changed and phone numbers have changed. And then on page 4, there's an addition to that, and it's called Tier 2. Actually, I think it's actually on it's on page 5. It's called Tier 2. Tier 2 is a level of reporting hazardous materials in the state. And so everything, if you go home tonight, make sure you look at your Clorox bottle, because there's going to be a test when you come back. It's labeled for the type of hazardous materials that it is. So depending on the quantity that you have in the town or in your business, you have to report it to the state. And you have to report it to the locals. You have to report it to the fire department and or police department. So the fire department keeps all the Tier 2s up to date, so if they respond to that location, they already have that information of the hazardous materials. And then it goes on, once you get to that part, we go to what they call EHS, extremely hazardous substance. And the list that you see here is what's been submitted by employers in the town of Vernon. However, if you know of any that are not on that list, contact me and I will be sure that it gets there. Some are reluctant to report it because they have to pay a fee to the state of Vermont, and the fee goes directly for emergency response. So some are, and it's paid by the quantity and by what it is. Okay. Any questions on tier 2? Okay. Then flipping over to, I think, page 8, according to my numbers. It's called NIMS, National Incident Management System, and we have to type every piece of equipment to their standard. And that gets pretty complicated sometimes because what we call a fire truck, they don't necessarily call fire trucks. We have to match the NIMS and national stuff with what we have. So some of that stuff has changed. It goes all the way down to the payloaders and dump trucks. So I met with the fire chief and the public works director, and we feel pretty sure that we have it pretty accurate right now. And then the last page that I have is probably stuff that I'll just highlight under the appendix A, B, C, and D. Those are parts of the LEOP that need to be done. However, some of it is going to be easy, some of it's going to be very difficult to extract from the town. I think there's some of it that's in the plans. So one of my goals I set for myself this year is to have that completed by the time we report next year. And again, some of the easy stuff, I know that Tim Arsenal can dig out the maps for me. Those are going to be pretty easy, but some of it maybe will take a little more work than that. And that is it in a nutshell. And as you flip down through it, the check boxes along the side of the things are primarily things, if and when there was an emergency, we would check them off that they were completed. It's kind of a check sheet type thing. 800 numbers for the state, and other than that, I'm open for any questions or that you may have.
Mr. Chair, just a quick question. You mentioned, you referenced something called a list of materials that people have seen.
Tier 2?
Tier 2.
I don't have the materials, what you see on your page
I think it's.
is names of the companies.
All right.
They don't disclose, other than to the emergency responders, what the chemicals are. If you would like those, I could
No,
certainly.
I don't like, I just wanted to make sure that somebody had.
Yes, yes.
All right.
They are on file and easily pulled out,
What
so.
page is that on?
Well,
It's 5.
5?
yeah.
Thank you.
You know, and some of these are like, Carroll, the town of Vernon's on here. The town of Vernon, because they have a large fuel oil tank and gasoline storage.
Sure.
You know, and the other ones are Velco, where they have oil in some of the transformers, and stuff.
I'm curious here, I noticed in this list of tier 2 facilities, the transport situation with the rail going all the way through, they're not listed here.
That's right, and unfortunately, in the world of transportation, they do not have to report. Because it's not a fixed facility. And so therefore.
No, I understand. I thought there might be some kind of loop that was.
Yeah, no, transporters carry what they call a bill of lading. And on a train, for instance, they're in 2 spots, they're in the engine and then in the caboose. And during an incident is the only time that you can actually find out what they have.
Sure, yeah.
Other than Dick Guthrie, you remember Dick Guthrie, he arrested the train one year because he blocked the intersection too long, but.
But I know that the train thing, in my opinion, and having dealt with hazards of various kinds, the train actually constitutes, or the rail buses constitutes probably the largest hazard we have in town.
Without a
And
doubt.
especially these days with what they're transporting out there, and I don't know all of it, but I can read some of the labels as I'm driving by, and they don't just pass through. I've seen trains sitting on the tracks here by by this length of track here. I know that they're oftentimes hitching up gravel cars and that sort of thing, so it takes them a while. I mean, so it is of concern, I think, to me.
It should be a concern, it's a concern to, everyone that has rail. But rails are governed by the transportation.
I understand,
And
right.
where they put hazardous materials on the train, they're in specific locations. And they can only carry so much.
So many cars. Now, if we have an event involving the rail, are we supposed to be responding with our town resources to that? Even though we don't even know what's on there till we find, there's never a caboose anymore, but there's always an engine of some sort. So how does that actually work?
Yep, so the answer is yes. If there's a rail incident, the fire and police will respond as they're trained, and they will try to identify any hazards or anything on that train. They have two avenues of approach. They can approach or find the engine or the engineer or the conductor, as well as dispatch has the ability to contact the trains directly. There's radio on the trains. So unfortunately, depending on where the incident or the accident takes place, changes the whole thing. One of the things is rail cars, fortunately, are built to a stronger standard than trucks on the road because they carry a higher quantity. I guess you could look at rail cars as being the second most controlled other than a nuke plant. But there's more of them, and they're building rails and they're going faster. And what is just as concerning is Amtrak, coming down twice a day through the town.
That's not what you normally call it.
No, but we're public. And that has some concern
Now my
also.
curiosity is piqued.
Well, call me tomorrow. So the rail is probably one of the biggest hazards in the town of Vernon. And unfortunately, unlike a fixed facility, you can't make a plan for a spot. However, we have identified, as you know, unprotected crossings, places of possibility of a derailment and or an accident. So those spots have been detected, and hopefully for multiple things. If there was a crash at Miller's Crossing, how would the rest of the town evacuate in the event that they needed to? So there's a plan for that. If there's a crossing, of the other, I think there's 7 of them I counted down through. And who lives the closest and how you evacuate those people. In some of the cases, there's only one way over the tracks, and they are not going to, other than walk away. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm also, for your reading enjoyment, I'm going to leave you guidance. It's called the Municipal Guidance for Flood Emergencies.
Oh, thank you.
It's a pretty nice document, small, and it talks about what the select board has to do and what all the agencies should be doing. So that will be part of the LEOP as we move on.
Very good. Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Sandy? Jean, you have anything? Okay. I don't have any questions either, so we need to.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve and have you sign the LEOP as presented.
Seconded.
Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the LEOP as written with my signature signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay, wait, Josh, before you do that, do you want the J. Unruh email address or the Protege email address?
You know my answer to that, don't you?
Which one do you sign? Because
Yeah,
you just
both
got
ways.
that this week.
I use my town one, as much as I hate the town
And
email.
where does he sign it? I
Right,
know that he's supposed
see
to.
where it says Josh Unruh?
On that first page?
Yep, first page.
Just somewhere down in that
Yeah,
box?
it says, I, select board chair,
So just next to the name?
Next to his name.
You see
They
that,
printed
Joe?
his name instead of his, but, so he can sign it right next to
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Just the other thing, thank you for attending the ICS training. I sometimes think that it can get a little boring, but I'll have more for you in the future.
I'm waiting for my shiny certificate.
You are, it'll come. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, we'll do the recycle roll-offs next. Does that discussion?
And that was that information was in the stuff that was on your desk earlier.
That was the new stuff.
Looks like this.
I'm gonna have Bob, you gonna come up and speak to that? Cheryl, anybody?
Tim.
Bueller?
And there's also Heather Frost came in today as a member of the committee and dropped off a letter that I gave you a copy of.
Okay.
What came in today?
Heather,
Oh,
she's just saying she doesn't want the roll-offs.
oh,
Okay, I see.
There you go.
are we done?
So I guess
No.
you didn't get a copy of that.
No, I didn't hear from Heather today.
Yep, she ran in this afternoon.
So I received an email, which I read, but fill us in on what's going on with our recycle bins up at the town garage.
Okay, what the district has decided to do, as you've all probably followed, is close the material recycling facility, the MRF, effective the end of June. So we will not be providing that recycling service to the towns. However, a number of towns want to continue the service at their own expense. So the board voted, and Cheryl and Tim are both on the board, one representing Guilford and one Vernon. So we're well represented. To offer the boxes, to loan them at no charge to the towns who want them, because there's a monthly rental fee from the haulers. And we do need to know by next week, our board meeting, because then it's gonna be a plan to distribute them. But, so just wanted to make sure, Michelle and I were talking, that we think Vernon doesn't want them. You're well served with curbside recycling. Westminster, which also has curbside recycling, doesn't want them. And the other town that has curbside recycling is Brattleboro, and they don't want to continue Fairground Road. So, it's really up to you, but I just felt we should get an official determination so we know we're.
Just clarification, we have the boxes for free, but we still need a contract with a hauler to.
Yeah, you would have to arrange, and towns are getting quotes for that.
Yep.
Both at transfer stations, like in Whitingham and Reedsboro and Jamaica and Dover, they have to have the boxes
Yep.
by law, wherever there's trash. However, these drop-offs like we have here and at Westminster and Putney and Newfane and Marlboro, they're not at a transfer station, and so they're really optional. Towns do not have an obligation to provide any recycling at all. So some towns, like Guilford, have no program. So anyways, I just wanted to make sure that we had the discussion and we're all in agreement, or at least the board is in agreement on it.
Steve, you have any questions?
No, I don't. I have a comment that it appears that those bins are very oftentimes full. And the only concern that I have is if we end up finding this stuff in ravines and, on the backsides of farm properties and stuff, it would be very disheartening. So we may need to do some education, maybe a mailing or something to remind residents that, there are other options, a larger curbside bin or a second one or whatever. So I don't know what else, because we're still going to be doing the every 2 weeks recycling pickup.
I think
It's every
that's,
week, isn't it?
no,
It's gonna say.
recycle is every other week right now.
It is.
But that's a good point that, because that MRF is so full on a regular basis, or our bins
It
are so
appears
full on a
to be,
regular
yeah.
basis, it may be worth us having the discussion about going to weekly recycling. Because I know for me, my little green bin is full, and then I bought this gigantic blue thing from Home Depot.
Oh,
Sorry to everybody that shops local, but it was cheap.
well, they used to be.
And
Yeah.
that thing is full to the brim, and so is my green one in 2 weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah, I put cardboard sideboards on mine.
Yeah, so you can
So
stack it
it's-
high.
I can't even see over the top of it when I'm carrying it out to the road. But yeah, there's always ways, I guess. But it would be good to stress to the residents that these are going, but we certainly expect you to continue with the recycling program using curbside.
I agree.
And we did talk about that, Michelle and I, of doing some sort of mailing perhaps,
And the cheapest way to do it.
on the whole solid waste program, you know, that we have here, where you could go. There's a lot of options between Brattleboro Salvage, Triple T, Wyndham Solid Waste. Our recycling facilities will be open. There will be a sticker fee. Right now you can recycle without a fee, but now we're gonna be paying for hauling away recycling. So, and that's on our agenda for next week. What is that fee gonna be? It's gonna be reasonable, of course, but, so I think we'll probably work with Michelle and our committee to come up with something to get out in June.
Same.
I agree with Steve, and I think that Heather's letter was very well written.
Gene?
There is concern because those bins at the town garage are very full. And I know people have said to me they don't want them going away because that's what they depend on, but, you know, I'm not sure it's worth the extra expense. But we may have to really see what happens with the curbside recycling.
Yeah, I think if we went to a weekly curbside, that would kind of help everybody
Yeah.
in general.
Didn't you budget in your,
Yes,
in your curbside?
Well,
That's what Michelle
We
had
did.
said. Michelle had put
Because
that.
some percentage of what's out at the boxes
Will be.
is gonna
picked
go
up
into curbside, and now there's a cost, so.
But the weight shouldn't change. So we
Right.
kept
No,
the
it
weight
should
the
be the
same
same.
and doubled the transportation, I believe. And hopefully the weight will go down if people from out of town are dumping the
Not,
boxes.
not able to
And
recycle here.
Steve's concern, we really have not found that around the state, that a lot of illegal dumping, that was always what they said when you do pay as you throw, when we get to that, oh, everyone's gonna dump. Well, it really didn't happen.
Well, for people who have property on 142, which is now called Fort Bridgman Road, historically, there have been incidents where it has occurred. And I know that
Oh, yes, it
our
does, but-
family has had land along 142 and had to go down, crawl down into ravines to haul stuff out. And so I think, just to remind people that, just because the bins or the containers at the town garage are gone, it doesn't mean that, you just wing it anywhere. You need to put it in the proper
It's actually a
place.
violation of Vermont law.
It is, but there's a lot of
So, and there
people
has
that
been
are-
enforcement in Vernon
Yes,
by the sheriff's
yes.
department. They've been really good. Anything more than 1 cubic foot, which is about what a 5-gallon bucket would hold, is what triggers the ability to fine someone. So it's a pretty small amount.
garbage bag.
Go ahead.
The problem I see with any of these towns that aren't a transfer station that wanna keep the boxes is they're gonna be paying for a lot more than just their own town stuff, because, I mean, I know down here we have people that come from Northfield and whatever, Hinsdale and Brattleboro. When Brattleboro's boxes disappear, you're gonna have a lot of those small businesses whenever looking for a spot to put their stuff in. You could end up dumping them a lot more and you'll be paying for it. It's just too hard to control.
I looked up Emily's Excel program that we did when we were just, exploring all the options of which services to keep. And at that time, having every week recycling was gonna be 38,220. Every other week is 22,932 for the collection. So we're only talking a little over 15 grand. That number might be a little different now than it's a couple years later, but that's much less than what I've heard the towns reporting that they have gotten for bids. I heard anywhere from 30 to 60,000. Is that about right, Bob?
To replace the service.
To replace the service by, yeah.
And I think it's important in our mailing to the townspeople that we let them know that this cost has been researched, that this is the
Yeah.
numbers that we've come up with, and this is why we're pulling these bins out. We're not doing it just because, we.
And it's not even us. We're not.
Well, no,
pulling things
but I
out,
mean,
so.
we could keep them, but
Sure.
we're not keeping them because of this financial issue. I mean, the town needs to think about costs too.
That's end of June, Bob, that those
Yeah.
are going away?
I don't know the exact day of the week because it'll be phased.
Yeah.
But, and then just so everyone understands, we'll be running, now we'll have a huge quantity of material there So we'll be running at least through July and into August to sort it all and sell it all. And then, unfortunately, there will be 8 or 9 people laid off. And we will continue to run the whole transfer station, the food waste composting site, the paint recycling, the electronic recycling. Everything that's up there when you go up there now will still be running, except the building where we bale and market our products. So I did want to I brought the budget that was approved for the district. This year, Vernon's share of the annual assessment was about $27,000. Next year, what we call FY18, the assessment is about $19,800. However, there's a one-time fee to close the facility, and that's going to add another $5,600. So it's going to come out around $25,000 for FY18. However, the following year, that closure cost will be gone, and we don't know what the budget will be then, because it's set every year. But I would hope that it's less than that.
Right, I would.
Less than
you'd think-
19,000.
You'd think somewhere in that.
And that was the whole goal, is to reduce the cost of the district. So, anyways, a lot of work went into this from our members that come every month and work on these budgets. It's a big deal.
Ronald, what you got?
There's another form of recycling that I'm concerned about. What happens with the composting? Will that still be, will we still have a bid, excuse me.
Yeah, those are provided by Triple T anyways, right?
The
They're
town
part-
contracts for that already. It's not the
Separate.
district, so that's
Right,
up to this board.
Please keep it.
It's from what I can tell, because I set it up 6 years ago. It's very successful.
It is highly.
And it saves people putting that heavy stuff into the $3.25 bag.
Yeah.
But so thanks. And also, you brought up compost. I'm glad you did, because we are actually marketing compost made from organics. Our Vernon goes to Greenfield, to Martin's Farm, but we, the district, get a lot of compost from other sources. So we have compost available for sale. And it's available at 5 distributors now. Skip Baldwin or Baldwin Excavation is selling it. Bill Keefe Landscape in Brattleboro, Turner and Renaud Landscape in Dummerston. In Swansea, it's called Maple Hill Nursery. And then we just set up a deal with a landscape company in Wilmington. So it's becoming a product that's actually a profit center for the district. I also want to point out that on Saturday, May 20th, we're having household hazardous waste collection. This one will be in Dover. We have to move them around. We're going to have 3 this year. And in the fall, we'll be back in November in Brattleboro and some other town, and we could have one in Vernon. It's probably been 5 years since we were here. But I bring this up because it's good people know there is a place to go. We also take paint every day at the district, all kinds of paint, oil, at no charge. It's a Vermont extended producer responsibility law, just like electronic waste. You're paying for that disposal when you buy the product. So, but I also wanted to point out that people are rightly asking, why are we a member of a solid waste district? You took away our recycling box. What do we get? And I would be glad through the solid waste committee here at some future meeting to kind of go through that with you guys. But household hazardous waste is mandatory, and it's very expensive to do it by yourself. There's a whole bunch of bureaucratic stuff too that we do.
Okay.
And
Yes,
you
we
did
can
appoint a new
move.
solid waste committee too.
We did.
So
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the removal of the recycling bins at the town garage, effective sometime in June, and that we at that same time, increase the recycling pickup of material at curbside to weekly from bi-weekly. With the caveat there that if we find that there's not enough left out, that we can retract that later on to back to bi-weekly.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
How are we paying for the recycling, the curbside recycling?
We have it budgeted.
So it's coming from our tax base,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and we budgeted for weekly recycling already. We just
You
haven't.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just haven't been utilizing it.
Okay.
I'm right, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
but originally you were gonna see if people could handle every other week
Well, I
before
was-
we went to
Yeah.
every week.
That's kind of my thought, because you can put out as many containers as you want with recycling. I don't know, or unless you think people
The
need to
reason
see
that I
the
think it's a good
difference.
idea to at least switch over, and that's why I said temporarily if the program warrants it, continue. The reason I feel that it's important to do that is that it will provide for a relief valve, so that people won't feel boxed into tossing it over the bank. And that's my feeling about that. I mean, people who live on the main highway know what the results of some of these actions can be for their property. People who live in developments, probably not so much, you know what I'm saying?
I think that when the information goes out, if it's made clear that you are not restricted to one container, only because I see people with all the changes in the bag prices, and they get frustrated with the up and the down and and the changing all the time. And so I hate to give it and take it back. I feel like we need to see, do we really need to do it?
Well,
And then do it,
Look at it as taking it back. What I look at it is adjusting the program to what the stress would be. And let's face it, those bins are filling up. And granted, I guess maybe some of it's coming from out of town.
Yeah.
But I don't know that 50% of it's coming from out of town, which means therefore that somebody in town is probably using them a lot. That's just my feeling at this point.
I mean, some people have actually expressed that they will go there and they don't bother with the curbside.
Oh, I'm sure that's true.
And so they just
I'm
need
sure
to
that's true.
change to what is going on, and just knowing that they can put out really as many containers as they need to. And, I don't know. I'd rather.
I would just rather not wait to implement this until we start seeing trash along the side of the road. Because then you've also got the cost of running out there and picking it all up if you can't find the guy that dropped it.
Yeah, but we didn't, I don't think that really happened
Be
even
sexy.
when
What's that?
people, I don't think that really happened even when people had to start paying for their trash. I don't think that really
Well,
became a problem.
having lived in Vernon a few years, I recall back when we didn't have pickup. And
Yeah.
it was along the roads, and it was in farmers' fields, and it was down ravines and so forth. Personally, I've been into ravines to pull the stuff out, so you probably haven't had that experience living
Oh,
where you do.
yes, we've been dumped on.
Okay. Well, I'm just offering that as a motion,
Yeah.
because we set the money aside to do that.
To do it.
And
Okay.
therefore, I think that we should implement it, and then we can pull it back if we're seeing that we're not having the use of it.
I'd like to point out that the total tons collected in the bins is almost the same as it was before we started curbside recycling 2 years ago. So,
Where is
which
that
really
coming from?
surprised us.
That's
Yeah.
strange,
You know,
yeah,
it's
that
like-
is very
That's very
strange.
strange.
What is the total tonnage then?
Yeah.
How often are those dumped?
Every week.
So there's two boxes a week?
Three.
3 boxes a week, okay.
So
So that's a
it's-
fair amount of recycling to.
It's hundreds of tons.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, people started recycling a little bit more, so they would have to buy less green bags and.
Yeah, it was the page you
You know,
throw, it
that's,
really.
that's just kind of, what do you think, Sandy?
I can see her point of, I think I almost like to try it for a month after they're gone, or even 2 months during the summer, at every other, and yet I can also see doing it every week during the summer because you stacking up that stuff for 2 weeks. It's gonna get kind of rank, so
It should be
I'm
cleaned
not
up.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
see, I missed the meeting that you guys decided to, the select board decided to go to every other week recycling and once a week trash pickup, because I totally disagree with that. I totally flip-flopped that around. But that's me, but I missed the meeting, and so I didn't have my say. But that was my thought then. I get what you're saying, Gene, about, maybe trying it for a little bit, and I understand that your point of maybe trying it for a little bit may have repercussions. But at the same time, I don't know if there's not a ton of financial savings staying at every other week versus weekly. I mean, it's whatever it is, it's $12,000 over the course of the year, which, we're gonna be into it anyway at that point.
The thing I would point out is, years ago, when I was much more agile than I am now, I didn't mind so much going, I minded, but I had the facility or faculties to get down the bank and back up again with garbage. I don't have that anymore. And if you've ever hired labor to do that kind of work for you these days, it's expensive. I can't even get a kid to come by and pick up stones in the pasture for less than $12 an hour. So that's my point there. Why create a problem and then deal with it later? Why not just try to have something there as an alternative right up front, and then maybe there'll be far less of it, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, if the money's there, then it may be easier for people to take, knowing that this is going away, but this is something we're gonna do for them, so.
And understanding the tonnage that Bob just pointed out that's fairly significant.
Yeah, it is.
That's scary.
And you can buy additional bins like I have for my family, but it's, how many of those do you want sitting around your house? Do you want 10 of them next to your house just to get through an every other week?
And I think if it's an underused weekly thing, then we can always cut back, right? I mean, we'll get some sense as to how it's working. There's nothing wrong with saying, well, we're not seeing the usage.
Right, and we don't have to cut back immediately. We can cut back, give people in town.
No, that's why I don't, I give it a chance to work for a little bit and see how it works out. Because it's gonna be a change. I mean, if they're emptying those weekly, somebody's using them. I don't think it's all out of town people.
So I wasn't involved with the decision on the every other week, but apparently there was consideration of every other week trash with weekly recycling.
Yeah, that's where my head went when this all
Which is what
started.
Brattleboro has started July 1. And again, it was to save money, but still provide the service, because they have food waste collection and recycling every week, and most people can manage 2 weeks between trash pickup.
Yeah, we do anyway. There's only 2 of us.
Yeah, I only put one bag out every 2 weeks with my family of 5. One big green bag. So, but I recycle a ton as well, so.
I make a number of trips to the Ferry Road Recycling Center. I have a sticker and all that stuff.
We have a motion on the table, we have a second. Are we ready to take a vote, or are we got more to say about it?
Take a vote.
Okay.
Can you repeat the whole motion, because there was
You repeat the
stuff at
motion
the end
for
too.
Or Michelle, can you repeat the motion?
Do you have it down at all, Michelle, or?
I have some of it, to approve removal of the recycle bins at the town garage.
Yes,
And
effective
change.
in the June timeframe per the schedule.
Well, they're gonna pull them whenever
They're
they
gonna
pull
pull
them,
them,
so.
But I just mentioned June because that's when you
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Okay. And then to
Concurrently increase the,
change the time of the pickup.
right, to
temporarily.
weekly until we determine that it's not necessary, until and if we
Yeah.
determine it's not necessary.
So she's saying that she's got temporarily
You did say
It's not
temporarily.
I did strongly say temporarily. Based on usage,
Well, I think you can I'm thinking that people aren't gonna like that word.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I
like,
would-
oh, you're gonna
I've
take
never
this
had-
away?
I would.
Well, of course, if you're choking on it, please
Yeah.
change it to something else. But my intent was
Right,
not to make it a permanent thing, but to make it such that we evaluated
Sure.
it down the road.
Subject to
Yeah.
evaluation.
My language, but
So-
I
so
don't
the-
have good language
There's
skills.
your friendly amendment that, we go
Fine,
to,
very
we go to a
good. Pull
once a
temporarily,
week
yeah,
recycling
right.
with the option to reevaluate down the
Yeah.
road.
Right.
Okay. So everybody understands the motion now? We have no more discussion about it?
No.
Great. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Very enlightening. Thank
And
you,
answer
Bob.
the question about household waste. Hazardous waste.
I hate to do this to everybody, but I'm gonna do it to you anyway, because I know that there are a handful of people here waiting to do these executive sessions, as well as all the other business that we have, so, we are going to move to, town clerk and the assistant town clerk appointment, which is gonna be an executive session, I believe.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, I would request, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Come on up.
Again, Tim Arsenault, Town Clerk. I would request a brief executive session with the board, the town administrator, myself, and the town treasurer.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board go into executive session with the town clerk, town treasurer, town administrator on the appointment or evaluation or employment of a public officer or employee per 1 VSA 313 3A3. I have to read it.
Second.
Someone-
All right, all those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in executive session. We went into executive session at 7:12. We came out at 7:20. And you have a motion for us,
And no action taken.
Amy? No action taken.
Tim has to go first.
Just to update the community, we're dealing with the expected retirement of Ina Lindquist, my assistant for the past 14 months. And so we put the job posting on social media, and with the board's blessing, placed an ad in 2 successive Saturday editions of the Brattleboro Reformer. 20 resumes were received, and with the assistance of our town administrator, 6 were chosen for interviews. And in the end, my choice, I'd like to announce tonight, my new assistant will be Diane Howard Beatty. Diane is a resident of Vernon and has been providing administrative support for the Commons newspaper in Brattleboro for approximately the past 4 years. She was chosen for her skill set, for her approach to customer service, and for an all-around winning attitude. She is scheduled to start at the clerk's office on a 20-hour-per-week basis beginning May 15th. And with that, I'll defer to the board.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion that we move the $1,180 for the vote scanner equipment from the town clerk's budget to the technology upgrades to allow the overlap week for Diane and Ina.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank
are
you
all
very,
set.
very much.
Thank you.
I promise we'll try to keep these executive sessions quick. We have one more regarding library personnel.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session on the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee per 1 VSA 313 3A3.
And we're gonna have the library trustees.
Yes, with the library trustees and the town administrator.
Yep.
Thank you.
So all those in favor of going into executive session? signal.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Oh, so Steve seconded.
We went into executive session at 7:22, out at 7:43, no action was taken. We move on to the approval of minutes from April 18th.
Mr. Chair, I move we accept the minutes from April 18th as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, Richard.
Okay, on page 3, when I brought up about the emergency capital plan, the question of whether this should be an article in the next town meeting, I can give you, Michelle, what I read that's supposed to be the policy, because that's not really what it said. It was about, was saying that anything that's spent needs to have a article at the next town meeting to replenish the fund. Do you want,
So,
so,
you have a copy of that? Or you want me to go run upstairs and make a
Okay.
copy?
no, that's for you, that's from the 1999 town report.
Oh, I do this part.
So there, it's in there.
Forgot.
Oh.
I did the editing part.
Just as correct.
So, that's
Okay.
all, it
So
just
I'll put that in
explains
here.
it.
Just verbatim, you want this?
It's what I had read, so it explains how it works.
Okay.
Okay,
So that's corrected.
as corrected? And it's,
That's corrected.
okay. All those in favor of approving the April 18th minutes as corrected, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, moving on, bills and warrants.
Yes.
Mr. Clerk?
And Mr. Chair, we have, excuse me, bills and warrants. First, the accounts payable warrant at number 21-T in the amount of $23,437.29. Payroll 16S in the amount of $8,578.35. And payroll 17S in the amount of $7,207.33.
Second.
So we are ready to pass warrant 21T, accounts payable $23,437.29, 16S payroll $8,578.35, 17S payroll $7,207.33. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Moving on. Cemetery committee appointment. Marilyn was here.
Yes.
Come on up. You're here, you might as well go up. At least use the microphone, get on TV a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, I need to do that.
We need someone photogenic so that I'm not always on the television
Well, then that's not
screen.
me.
You're more
You have me
photogenic than I am.
confused with somebody else.
So what you got going on for us?
We would like you to appoint Chris Howe to the cemetery committee. Mrs. Mosley, to our dislike,
Really?
yes, has resigned from the committee, but we are keeping her on as an ad hoc member.
Okay.
Good.
And she has agreed to that because we have work for her to do,
All right. Good.
so.
So moved.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of appointing Chris Howe, cemetery committee, to the cemetery committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And thank you, Ms. Mosley, for your time on the committee and for staying on
Yes.
as an ad hoc member.
Right.
I'm still working for them.
I figured they wouldn't let you go.
We doubled her salary too.
No, good. Good, good. While you're here,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about the Casey Estate do we need to do this in executive session, or are we good in open?
I don't believe though we did originally in open session. So.
Okay, let's do it again.
So, a year or so ago, we opened an estate and with Fitzalton and Giddings, with R.A. Rockland Miller appointed as the executor to that estate. He is no longer, now, as of last week, he is no longer with that firm. He's moved on to other places. So, I want to transfer that to, the successor to that, to Lori Rowell.
Okay.
So we need a motion, which I have for you, all written up.
I'll just say so moved.
Steve's right there, he
So-
can do it.
And
If he so chooses.
And I have a copy of the filing, for the probate court, for his resignation and to appoint the successor.
Mr. Chair, I move that we request the probate court to authorize Attorney Laurie A. Rowell of the Rowell Law Office, PLC, to become successor administrator of the estate of Jean Cliché, Casey, upon resignation of current administrator Ari Rockland Miller, Esquire of Fitz Olson and Giddings, PLC. I'll pass that down so that Michelle Miller can have that.
Second.
And then this probably should enter into the record too.
Any further discussion regarding this change? Anybody got anything? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? See, that was so easy.
Well, you made it easy, you don't have to write all that stuff down, it's all done now.
Move along with that, I hope.
Yes, thank you.
Get that off.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Investment policy update. Michelle, you've been working on this, and I believe Gordy's been helping you. Come on up, Gordy.
I do
Actually, he
have,
started it, quite frankly.
I do have a
Actually,
question.
Melissa started.
Do we need to have the select board and treasurer after investment officials every time investment officials is stated when it's already identified?
Yeah, we're about to talk about this
Okay.
very thing.
So I did give you, so you have two copies. You have the original one that came from the ones the attorneys reviewed at Edward Jones. And then in your later packets, I gave everybody ones with suggested changes. And Gordon and I were doing some other stuff today, actually.
Explain to us,
Everybody look at
what are we looking at to change on this? And why?
In that packet.
I have this one.
I have this.
They have that?
Yeah, they have the
Okay.
list of changes that,
How
and
come
you
we're
know
not
better
finding it?
the reason these terms, like they took out money manager because there is no such thing.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of it was technical stuff.
much of the terminology, the last time the investment policy, Vernon investment policy was updated was in 2003. A lot has changed in 14 years. A lot of the terminology has changed. A lot of the rules have changed. So while I was working with the cemetery committee with Melissa Ferris, there was a lot of opportunities, let's put it that way, to better handle our investments in the town. In order for me to even give advice, I needed to make sure that our compliance department and our legal team agreed with the terminology and updated the investment policy guidelines. So they worked on it in St. Louis to bring it up to compliance so that anyone can work with it, whether it's Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch, People's Bank, it didn't matter who, but there needed to be uniformity in the language, consistency in the language, and updated investment policy. So that's what we did. The line-by-line changes, are presented to you, all printed out, but it is now current, brought up to speed, to which hasn't been done in many, many years, going all the way back to the great Lenny Peduzzi days, and all of those guys, all excellent men and women, but there just needed to be some updates. So now, where we stand, is that this has been approved through our compliance department and our legal team in St. Louis, so that if it's the town's wishes, that I can also help Cindy as a treasurer and the select board work with you folks on any investment questions that you have with any of the town funds, and of course, Michelle.
And I just want to point out some of the biggest changes, like the actual material changes I think that were made. There was a clause in the original that had a no mutual funds will be invested in except for what's listed in Appendix B or something, or A.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know why that was in there in the first place, but a committee at some point had decided that the town was not gonna invest in mutual funds anymore except for what we already had. And if anybody knows the history of that or why, but it kind of took the decision away from the select board, and again, it would go against advice if that was the thing to do. So that was kind of a big material change that had nothing to do with statutes and current terminology. The other one was, and I don't understand this, removal of collateralization. And you could probably explain that a little better.
So the removal of collateralization utilizing obligations fully guaranteed by the full faith and credit of Vermont municipality and state of Vermont under and/or the United States government will be required on two types of investment certificates of deposit. I'm reading from page 3 in your original documentation.
What's that?
Consider the original.
You don't have the original, well, you've had the original in the past.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So as far as collateralization was concerned, second paragraph, does everybody have the copy or not?
They don't have the original.
Okay, so you don't have the original. So collateral will always be held by an independent party in the town's name with whom the town has a current custodial agreement. Evidence of ownership must be supplied to be retained by the town. This is always the town's money. It'll never be Edward Jones' money, people's money, or anything of that nature. So basically, there will be no collateral held against this. Your funds are your funds. Your mutual funds are your mutual funds. Your CDs are your CDs. So what we were taking out was extraneous terminology that was put in there, because when the policy was originally written, it was drafted from a template that was given to the select board, and it was basically cut and pasted long before there was cut and paste. Okay, so this is one of the paragraphs that just was not relevant to the investment policy guidelines, so that's why it was removed.
Do we have to have the select board and treasurer after every investment official in the document?
It is good for the consistency of the document. Moving forward, what I would do, and I spoke with Cindy about this, is that I would simply be at the service of the town as an advisor. The select board and the treasurer will always maintain decision-making. Nothing will ever be done in any committee, any fund, without first discussing it with the treasurer and the select board.
That's not my
But
question.
how many times we have to put those terms?
Well, it's under, it says investment officials on page 1,
Yep.
in parentheses, select board and treasurer shall invest public funds. Then when you go down to B, it says investment officials, again in parentheses, so that's select board and treasurer. Next page, investment officials, select board and treasurer. I would think if you had investment officials was the select board and treasurer, you would only need investment officials, you wouldn't need select board and treasurer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
We wanted to make sure you got the point.
Well,
It's kind of
the
redundant.
board had asked
It
me
is.
to do that
I don't
at
mind it being.
at the last.
Yep, I remember that.
It just seems really redundant. If you look at your agreements, if it says the town of Vernon shall be the buyer, it doesn't say town of buyer, town of Vernon in your other agreements. It just seemed kind of crazy.
Well, I don't think it damages the document, it just makes it longer.
No.
It does remind people every time they read investment officials who those are. I don't know, I mean, in this day and age of electronic whatever, I don't have a problem with extra verbiage to continue to explain. And that also eliminates the possibility someone might get confused and think an investment official might be, someone from
Edward Jones.
Edward Jones. To my thinking, I don't have a problem with repetition.
Do we need a little bit of time to look over these changes and that kind of thing? I know we've had them in our packet for a few days, but I will be the first one to confess that I did not read through every paragraph and every word of this in the last couple of days.
Well, I do appreciate also the presentation we had just now, because some of this I read it, but I didn't quite link it up the way I have it now.
And Gordon actually did a lot of the legwork with attorneys on his side to get this.
Is there a
done.
downside to not review, to not acting on it tonight, but in fact to hold off till next meeting?
I don't believe so. We've dealt with it this long, I don't think it's gonna kill us for a couple more weeks.
Understand any more of it.
And I think the cemetery committee's been waiting for this for a couple months.
They have been. See, I am restricted from working with any committee in this town until you approve that this policy, and again, is agreeable to the town. So they've been waiting 6 months, 9 months, how long have we been?
We've been waiting
A year.
almost
Okay.
a year
Yeah.
All right,
to
well,
act on our largest cemetery fund.
then I move that we accept the changes made to the investment policy and, what?
You can always come back and change it.
Well, yeah, of course, the investment policy for trust funds.
I'll second that, but I do have a question.
Sure.
Are these literally all the funds that we have? Because someone at the cemetery committee were asking today if we had what was a fund, Mary Lynn, that we were asking. Not Alexander Perry.
Cindy, do you want to see the
Okay.
fund that we're referring to?
Okay.
We don't have sewer and water anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, and
Because
I
those
wondered
were
if
on
we
the
had
original investment policy
Yeah.
guidelines, so there may be some that are
Yeah,
no longer.
I don't think we have sewer and water
No
anymore.
more sewer and water.
Okay, yeah.
So-
So we could go through, well, maybe we can do that right now. Do you want to just scratch out what funds we don't have anymore? If you can.
This is a signature, these can change anytime.
Yeah.
So the signature would be on the policy, the appendix could
That's true,
change
too.
anytime.
Right, so we can change it, adding funds and taking funds off.
That makes sense. I don't have a problem myself.
Yeah, the rest of, that's the only one we don't have anymore.
Okay,
We just don't have quit funds.
so it's only the sewer and water fund.
Okay, so we don't have a Whitehead fund? Whitehead Cemetery
We
doesn't
have a fund, but it's not invested.
Oh, okay, so these are just invested funds.
Yeah, I don't think, you didn't wanna look at all the savings accounts and everything, did you?
Yeah.
I'll work on anything that you want to,
Yeah,
once I get
that's-
signed off on this.
Yeah, we were just asking.
Whatever you
the
want
Yeah, I
to
think
cemetery committee.
they were looking at things that are invested in like American funds and people's trusts and stuff like that.
Okay.
Whitehead's,
Where are the other funds?
they're just in like a regular savings.
Okay.
Whitehead's a little tiny.
Okay. We just brought it up at cemetery committee, and I
Yeah.
thought I'd ask you.
Go ahead, Melissa.
I know we were looking at all of the funds that are involved in every single one of the cemeteries,
Yeah.
whether they were invested or not, to see if we could get some of the funds that are just sitting in a savings account.
Well, those are,
And because not all of that money, I figured out not all of that money has to be reserved.
right.
Some of that is
So,
interest
there,
and
we
dividends,
do have like Whitehead does have a fund, it's just not invested in, it's in its regular savings account.
Right.
Polly
that
Lee is in a regular savings account, what's
Right,
left
and
of it.
We're looking at moving some of these savings accounts that are making
0.03%.
0.03%, thank you, Mr. Christensen, into something that could actually make money and
I would be glad.
again decrease
I would
the
be
tax
glad
burden.
to.
And then
sit
that
down
would be added to the
I
appendix
can
when
get
they.
you all of them and what they're invested in.
Which
I can
that's
make you a
a,
spreadsheet.
that's a moving
and send it to
document
you
that
if
we
you
do
want.
Yeah,
what
Each
we
fund, what's
wish
they're
would.
invested in.
Yeah,
Thank
Why don't we
you.
do that?
yeah, okay.
So we got a motion and we got a second. Do we have any more discussion? Okay. Everybody understands what the motion is? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have updated our investment policy.
Thank you.
Excellent.
A lot of work here. I appreciate your involvement with that.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
And, thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy will be great help, so, yeah.
Okay, moving on to RFPs that we've received for landscaping, lawn maintenance, cleaning, and snow removal.
And that was in the extra, did we have one of these? Yep. Somewhere in here.
Johnny can talk on that. Thank you. Everybody found that sheet? You got any questions, Steve, regarding the bids that you're looking at?
No, I don't have any questions. This is what we've received to date, or this is
This is
the
what
end
we
of-
received to date.
Are we still open for bids, or is this it?
Not technically, but you are welcome to open them back up again.
No, thank you. I'm got my hands full right now with horse fence. Thank you.
No, I mean, I'll do it, but if you, because
Oh, I
we-
see what you're saying.
We said to
Okay.
close them
Yes.
on May
No, I'm-
1st,
I'm
and
all
I will
set.
be
I'm
happy
all
to do
set,
it
yeah.
again.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I didn't mean you personally.
We're not gonna make you mow the yard, Steve.
I hope not, because it's gonna take me a long time.
Your select board pay doesn't cover nearly enough to mow the yard around here.
So I have some questions. Because one indicated mowing only on the price with additional there for spring and fall cleanup. So what are the others including? Is that, are they saying mowing only?
That
or
was just very specific in his,
in that quote?
Yep, in that quote. Which one was that?
So did the RFP require cleanup?
It had spring and fall cleanup in it. So this particular one, this particular bid didn't give us a monthly price for everything on the Bristol lawn care. He just cut out for spring cleanup. So he's like, oh, we'll do a 1 or 2 day big thing because it's not an ongoing thing all month of May and April.
Right.
So he said, you know what, $55 per person, we'll do a big spring cleanup. And then in the fall, after October 1st, last mow job, wait till the leaves fall, come back, do a big fall cleanup, get everything cleaned up, ready for winter, which would be $55 per person, not necessarily the whole $950 for the month.
Okay.
So that's kind of how
Okay.
he broke it apart. He did say, you know, he does, because I called him based on the mowing only, he does, you know, your basic edging, your weeding around, you know, but if we want him to do planting or mulching or anything like that, that's extra, which was not in the
We're gonna-
RFP anyway, so.
Just as a side note to that, as the Memorial Committee Chair, and now one of 2 Memorial Committee members, we will be taking care of the mulching around the memorial and the gazebo going forward as a committee.
Thank you very
So,
much.
Yeah, that's $55 an hour per person.
Yeah.
so that's why his monthly bid could be a little bit less, and
Oh, yeah.
it's,
And so you thinking the others do include?
it's not necessarily a,
Because they were supposed to include cleanup, the spring and fall cleanup. As part of the RFP.
Right, so,
Yes. The RFQ included the spring and
Fall.
fall cleanup.
Cleanup.
So we have to assume that they read it when they give us a quote.
Yeah.
Sandy, you got any questions?
I do. We have one that's for 2017 plus a 2018-19. Are we not just awarding the bid for 2017, the fiscal year?
he did that because 2017 doesn't start until July 1st. So he's missing the whole spring and May and June. So it's less. There's like 2.5 months,
Yeah.
almost
Gotcha.
3 months that this
Right.
year,
But
this
the
doesn't start
monthly,
till
but the
July
monthly
1st.
bid stays the same.
Yeah,
Right.
because we asked for a 3-year
Oh, okay, okay,
outlook. So these are all for 3 years.
okay. I don't remember what the RFP said.
It's like it gives you a price for 3 years, but you just signed a contract annually though, right?
That's up to you. We asked for prices for 3 years. We haven't made a contract yet.
We can do a 3-year contract if we choose. We can do a 1-year contract.
Can you do a 3-year even though you don't have a budget 2 years from now?
Well, that actually helps with the budget,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
understand. And it also, if we can lock that particular person in at that monthly rate for 3 years,
Yep.
it may save us from going up in
Well,
year
yeah, it does.
Did it with
1 or
the
year
auditors.
2, but at the same time, if we, given that this is a completely new venture for us, and, you know, we have the best intentions to make this work, if after year 1, we decide, wow, we really need, you know, a part-time maintenance person within the building again, we're in a 3-year contract with somebody that we can't get out of.
Right,
So
That's-
that's a consideration as well.
right.
Can't you have that written into the contract?
Sure. Yeah, you can write anything into a contract.
Maybe that it gets renewed annually?
Or
Yeah.
reviewed?
If they would commit to that price
Sure.
to be renewed annually? I don't know
Yeah.
if they'd do that,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
And
The-
they may want to be guaranteed that price and the 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm personally fairly happy with the landscaping bids that we got 3. That kind of fulfills our policy as well.
Oh, yeah.
The snow removal and the office cleaning, we have 1 bid for each one of those line items. That doesn't sit well with me. I'd like to put that back out personally, so we could have, you know, more of an opportunity to get more people involved. I don't know what everybody else thinks about
Well,
that.
I just had a question. Did you get any inquiries more than what you have here? or
You
is
know, we
that it?
did, and I'm really surprised that we didn't get more. So what I would do is personally reach out. I mean, I sent emails out, we put it on the bid system,
Right,
I
right.
sent emails directly to every company I could find on the internet. I don't have it down here, but I have a list of everybody that got it. But you know, if you put it back out, I can make personal phone calls and visits to see if we can get people to have more interest in.
And if
using
this is what we end up, this is what we end up with. I mean, neither of those bids for either the snow removal or the office cleaner are out of whack by any means. But I just, you know, to satisfy policy of trying to get 3 bids, I would like to put those 2 particular line items back out. And what we end up with is what we end up with.
So what is the policy? Because you put it out, but you didn't get the 3. I mean, what if you never get 3?
We've satisfied the policy by putting it out to bid.
Yeah.
It's not like we're
Yeah.
purchasing a piece of equipment and we have to get 3 bids. It's
Right,
a
which would be
service.
easy to do, yeah.
And we put it out to bid, and if we don't get 3, we don't get 3. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do about it. We've run into that situation actually with equipment before for the fire department where only 2 people have come back to bid on that piece of equipment, and as a select board, you can't just say, okay, we didn't get 3, so we can't have a fire truck. So we just We gotta move forward with what we
It-
have.
I think too, given that it's May 2nd, we have a little bit of time if we move quickly to maybe try to solicit something else.
And that's why I'm kinda happy
I
with the
think-
landscaping thing is, cause that's gonna come into play quickly. Snow removal, we got time on, obviously,
Yes.
we have time on.
Yeah.
And then, office cleaning is gonna be another one that's gonna be, you know, we have a limited amount of time on,
Right, we do.
so.
It seems to me everybody had their chance.
I know.
You know, it's like, you gave them a week and a month to bid, and you sent it out. I personally do it just tonight, so,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with what I see here, just, I understand your concern about getting more, but.
Yeah.
I do need to check our budget on the cleaning to make sure that we can cover supplies and equipment, because we didn't budget for that.
And that
I
was,
think that we can with the bid that's here. I think that we'd be okay.
and that was
and I-
part of the RFQ is that we didn't supply equipment and
Cleaning,
supplies.
right, but that doesn't mean we can't.
Yes,
Certainly
absolutely.
doesn't, but I just wanted
We
to.
have the stuff.
Right, and, I think that we have enough. I don't think it's an issue, based on the bid. So, just so
Yeah.
that you know that part.
So I'll wait for a motion on anything.
I move that we award the bid to the low bid in each of the 3 categories.
Second.
Okay. Further discussion? All right. All those in favor as the motion was said, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? So that would mean, just for purpose of record, Big Guy's property maintenance has been awarded the landscaping bid and also the snow removal bid. And Kevin Turnley has been awarded the office cleaning bid. And we will work with Kevin as far as supplies and equipment. Moving on. Police inventory. We got guns. What do we do with them?
Well,
So, Mr. McNary, in your packet, gave us a proposal and appraisal of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 handguns, 4 shotguns, a taser, which I really like to have, and some ammunition.
Your poor kids.
So there are, I think there's 3 different proposals in here. There's a liquidation proposal. Well, no, excuse me. There's a public auction, direct sale, and a sales agent proposal, and a single buyer proposal. There's actually 4 things for us to look at. Public auction's pretty self-explanatory. We pay for an auctioneer to come here and sell all this stuff, and Mr. McNary is here with his FFL license to take care of the firearms. Then the direct sale is open to the general public. Which I don't really like.
you don't like?
But, no, I don't think so. And then the sales agent, he would essentially take a commission of the sale of the firearms and the ammunition and the taser and all those things that are listed. Or, what's behind door number 4 is he'll just buy everything from us and we can walk away from it. But, that being said, if you look at the value on the front, the $36.59, and obviously, he's in the business to make money. He has to resell these firearms. So it's $24.50 $24.59 is his bid for all of those things. So we have to weigh the options of just getting rid of them and being all done with it, and possibly lose $500 or $600 that we could gain in an auction process or a direct sale process.
But on the direct sale, the consignment fees vary from 25 to 40%.
That's correct.
So that would reduce it.
Or an auction or whatever.
Yeah.
What's everybody think? Steve?
Well, thank you for asking, and I personally feel that we should do this as expeditiously and straightforwardly as possible. I really do like the single buyer option because I think it puts the least liability on the town. My understanding of this process is that whoever in other words, if the town of Vernon's selling to someone by an auction process, you end up with perhaps greater liability than buying a single buyer gun dealer.
You wouldn't, because Mr. McNary would essentially, as an FFL dealer,
Oh, he would be taking.
he
that
would
over.
be, it's kind of a transfer. It's like buying a car.
Yeah.
We're giving McNary the car, he's selling it to somebody else. It leaves our hands when it hits his FFL dealer
The other
license.
problem with auctions is that, I mean, there's a stated value, but auctions I've noticed don't always garner that kind of return, so.
100%.
This
I
is
agree.
a figure, it's there and it's there.
Okay. Sandy?
I like the single buyer thing. We've been out sitting on this long enough.
Yeah, we have been a long time.
Yeah, it's fun though.
We
Gene?
have other things to have fun with.
I like that one too, because I like the fact that the residents have a chance also.
With the single buyer option?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So what, if we want to go with that single buyer option, which kind of sounds like everybody does, what do we want to set for a time period where Vernon residents are allowed, because he's kind of leaving it up to us to get first dibs on these firearms, ammunition, and a taser.
Well, it says we are willing
We are-
to set
yeah.
a time, he's willing to set the time period.
I don't
For the
know that
residents.
We are
private
willing.
citizens can buy tasers, can they?
Well, if
They
Josh has
can.
his way, they will.
That's a good question.
You can,
Chris,
they
can we
can.
buy can I buy a taser as a private citizen?
I hope not.
I think
Get
I
'em
can.
in catalogs.
I'm pretty sure I can. They are in catalogs.
Oh, really?
Remember that?
So old, it would be rough even in the works.
Okay, you can do that.
The person that pulls the trigger.
He said it's worth $50, so there we go.
Might be worth it.
So,
Well, I-
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'm just to say, I move that we go with a single buyer for McNary firearms at $24.59 for the ammunition and firearms. He maybe he'll let you have a taser, at a deal.
You're grinning. Somebody's in trouble in your neighborhood. I second the motion. Did you want to also include a time for the?
No, because it said they would allow
Oh, they,
time.
all right, good. That's-
So we'll allow Mr. McNary to set his time frame.
Yeah,
So, okay. Second?
second, yes.
Any
I
further
second.
discussion? All those in favor of utilizing McNary firearms in the single buyer fashion for the amount of $2,459, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have got rid of our firearms.
Yes.
Well, almost.
Amen. Amen.
Gone.
Okay. The other stuff that's in the shed still has not been inventoried yet. As soon as that gets inventoried, we'll figure out what to do with it. There is very few pieces that are of value in there, based on my looking through, because they've been sitting in a non-climbing controlled shed. But there are a handful of things from radar guns and breathalyzers and spotting scopes and various other things that we might be able to pull a few bucks out of. Once that inventory is done, we'll start this process all over again.
Oh, boy.
So, the right to farm resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve and sign this right to farm resolution. It's
Okay.
beautiful.
Second.
And I like the signs.
You're supposed to say whereas during that.
Ah,
No,
yeah.
it's just. So, any discussion regarding
Did
the?
you hear from Jeff at all with his opinion of this? He was the one that
I
introduced this.
have not heard his opinion on this, on the actual
Yeah.
statement. Did you?
Yes, I emailed this to him first, before I emailed it to you, and he was good with it.
Okay.
Good.
I'm
That's good. I
curious
felt
about
like we
something.
should have
I
his
noticed
input.
that his farm is in this diagram. Is
It-
that,
That is not, this is what we're doing. That was, I said that I would make a mock-up, a possibility. That Vernon sign happens to be in front of his farm, so I
no, I
just took a
understand. Yeah,
picture
no, I
of his farm.
understand. Yeah, that's fine.
But that's what Guild has on theirs, is pictures of local
farm.
farms.
Sure.
Or
So,
yeah.
so that's, that's something like we could do, and I
Right.
contacted, WorkSafe, which is Steve Ferrucci, who our Dave Walker deals with, our highway
Yeah.
foreman. And that sign, it would be about 32 inches by 10 inches hanging underneath. That was just
Oh,
one
here it
idea
is.
that I had. It would be about $50, full color, just like,
Okay.
and it wouldn't be that one. We could, I can make a few of them that you can
Yeah.
pick from.
Yeah, and I think,
Without using my phone.
I was gonna say perhaps a more generic approach, because, we don't want a single farm over another. In
But
my
I-
opinion, yeah.
I like how you showed it on here, hanging under the other one. No,
I do too.
To see that effect.
I think it
that
works
looks
well.
very
The only
nice.
thing you have to make sure is that it's up high enough so it doesn't get covered with snow in the winter.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, I
I mean,
can't
not that we
say
have
that's
that
to
kind of
scale.
snowstorm anymore, but we might,
We
you never
might.
know, we might.
Yeah, and there's plants on the other one, on the other end of town.
Right.
There's like, I noticed a dead plant now, but
Maybe he's gonna
soon
say-
we have flowers eventually.
Right.
Okay.
Very good
So
idea.
we have,
That trip
we
up
didn't,
for that.
we didn't go to a vote on that yet, did we?
No.
Not-
And we don't have to do it this way either. If that's
to do it
gonna
on the
be
side even.
obstructed, we could put it on the side if you wanted. I just thought that was the
Yeah.
least.
Yep. So this is just for the resolution part, we'll deal with the signage down the road.
Yeah.
So we have a, motion and a second. All those in favor of, signing, do we need to sign this?
Technically, you should be reading.
Yeah, I think it's a nice symbol of our support
So it can be
for
recorded.
the farming communities.
Give it to me. All right, so the resolution to designate the town of Vernon as a right to farm community. Whereas the town of Vernon has a history steeped in agriculture, and whereas the residents of Vernon hold a strong belief that farming and farming activities should be protected and promoted, and whereas agricultural lands constitute unique and irreplaceable resources of local importance, and whereas the continuation of existing and the initiation of new agricultural activities preserve the landscape and environmental resources of our community, and whereas the encouragement, development, improvement, and preservation of agriculture will result in a general benefit to the health and welfare of the people of Vernon. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Vernon encourage the pursuit of agriculture, promotes agricultural-based economic opportunities, and protects farmlands within the town of Vernon by allowing agricultural uses and related activities to function with minimal conflict with abutters and town agencies as accordance to all citizens of the state of Vermont under the state right to farm statutes, Title 12, 5751 through 5754. The right to farm is hereby recognized to exist in the town of Vernon. It is also determined that whatever impact may be caused to others through the normal practice of agriculture is more than offset by the benefit of the farming to the neighborhood, community, and society in general. Resolved this day, 2nd of May, 2017. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So we're gonna pass this around. Make it official.
Thank you.
So do you want me to keep looking into signage or mock up more sign options?
Let's get some costs.
$50.
based on your mock-up.
That mock-up is $50.
That's $50?
Yes.
Who is that through?
That's through WorkSafe.
Okay, you've already said that once, sorry.
I think Denny Tiro did the original signage there, and I know Alfred used him a lot. You might want to check with him.
Okay, what's his name?
Dennis Tier,
He's in West Somerset.
West Dummerston.
Right on the upper part of the road there. Right by the church, I think.
Yeah, Red House.
Okay, this sign is like the ones in Gill. It's metal, it's like a street sign, so
Okay.
it would
Yep.
hang from underneath.
Yeah, he
You wanna
does
check
stuff
with Dennis
like
for the
that.
same kind of thing, or you think it's
See if
something
he has
else?
another option, if you're gonna get some options.
Well, they always ask me what I want, so I need to have the.
Well, I'm sure that he can give you an idea of that. He's very versatile.
Yeah, cost efficiency wise, let's look at a metal sign first.
I do think it is something more generic, though, than I think is important.
Then what?
Well, instead of a specific farm, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I was standing there,
No,
so I
and
took
it's
the
lovely
picture.
job. Yeah, lovely
I
job.
couldn't find a cow. There was like not a single cow outside.
A real cool picture of cows in Scotland looking over the
Milking
fence.
time.
Oh, that's
barn.
right, yeah, well,
But-
it's never not milking time at Dunkley Farm.
They have 1 hour off.
But they do have 1 hour off?
But I just wanted to give you an idea of what you could do. Take a picture and have a picture of anything you wanted on there.
I'll send you a cool one.
Alright. Efficiency
Have a
Vermont, cost
contest.
sharing agreement for audit.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve and sign the cost-sharing agreement with Efficiency Vermont.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? And we did discover that, everything will fall into the next fiscal year, as we kinda thought, so there isn't a budgetary issue as far as that,
Yep, very good.
whatever you call it, when they come look at stuff.
The line item and the
Yeah.
ones, yes,
Yeah.
they will bill us in the next fiscal year. That's through John F. Penny, so they'll
Yep.
bill Efficiency Vermont first, and
Then
we'll
us.
get ours after July 1st.
So, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving on, public participation, agenda items only. Anyone? Okay, moving on, correspondence.
We only got, the Kawasik Band of the Pennacook Abenaki People has, filed for intervenor status for the Wilder Dam and for the dam issues.
Oh, okay.
So we got notified of that.
That's the same group that filed for intervenor with North Star VY, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so. I can't vouch for that.
Yeah.
Um,
99% sure it is.
And then I had forwarded a bunch of stuff from FERC, the licensing, relicensing application came out, there was like a 656 page study that was done, so I didn't print them all out. So that was a big one. Also, the big thing that came in this afternoon, I think I gave everybody a copy, was from Karen Horn at VLCT, who keeps track of legislative issues. And that Act 174 was the process that gave substantial deference if we cited an energy project here, and we kind of got pre-approved through a regional planning commission. Then it sort of speeds along the process if somebody comes along and wants to develop here. And they've actually made some suggested or some amendments to that will be up for discussion in the legislature tomorrow morning. That's why we're bringing it up tonight. And the big one is that it's gonna, the new amendments eliminate the requirement for regions to have a regional plan for siting energy, whereas before every region had to have some sort of plan, whether it was, and part of that plan was to identify sites that could be and sites that could definitely not be developed for, and this is any kind of energy, power plants, solar, anything. So that's a big part of that act that's been taken out, which is a big sort of weight off of a lot of regional planning commissions. But they still have not, they never removed the substantial deference. So if we do cite, we do go through this process and we do get approved for citing a power source or power plant or something, whatever would work here, we would still get that. So it's kind of
Gotcha.
win-win. And if that's something you're interested in supporting, it has to be done very, very quickly. And you might want to get online when you get home and do it tonight. But it does take a lot of weight off of regional planning, that they're not required to, they can do it. I think those were kind of the big things on that. Right, and that is it for, really, most of it was Clerk stuff, everything else we kind of already discussed.
Okay. Media, CCTV, you got anything for us? All right, good to go. Town administrator report.
All I have is to sign the contract that you've already approved. Wait, here's 3 contracts for you to sign.
I promise not to use a taser on this.
And I just want to call your attention to the police log for the month of April. Chris was nice enough to send that along.
Chris, what's a directed patrol? He's busy waiting.
Can range from anything from morning school traffic to doing radar on a certain road or doing a check of a certain area like the boat landing or dam or any place. That's what it is.
Now we know. I did not get to go on the hike Friday.
I did.
What do I need to sign on the?
Exercise.
Where do I need to sign on these?
Which one? Oh, I think it's the
Just a
third
mess.
page. Third, fourth.
Municipal representative signature?
Yep, that's you. That's
me.
for the sign work that you voted on last meeting.
Okay. Is there anything else within here?
Nope.
Okay. So I have 3 things to sign?
Yep.
Good. There's that.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Anything else? From you?
For me, nope, that's
Okay,
it.
so upcoming meeting schedules. First one's very important, Black Gum / Wetlands meeting Monday, May 8th, 6 PM, right here in the Select Board room. We will have Laura LaPierre from the state coming to speak with us regarding our black gum swamps. Next regular meeting is Tuesday, May 16th, 6:30, right here, same bat time, same bat channel. NDCAP and NRC meeting Thursday, May 25th, 6 to 9, location TBD. We are adjourned.
Okay.